first speaker for today is Mr. Ravichander, Senior Advocate at the High Court. Good morning, sir. Mr. Ravichander has been 40 years and he is also a legal correspondent and a film critic. He's written for the Indian Express, the Deccan Chronicle, the Times, Hands India, etc. He's known for his passion for conducting quiz, debates, various other competitions. And he has a world record for the longest speaking event. So I guess it's very opportune that we have him speaking today with us, for us. Yeah. And he's also has been part of the panel discussion on English and vernacular languages, sir. Is it that? Languages? Yeah. So we welcome you, sir, for the talk today. We're really looking forward to it. I invite you to please commence your talk.
Hold on. I make it talk in half an hour. 1973-74, Ravichander is summoned to the police station. The status Pathan walks into the police station and is about to drag a chair and sit down. The new young actor, who is the protagonist in the film, takes the chair away and tells him, "ये तुम्हारा शराब का अड्डा नहीं, तुम्हारा बाप का घर नहीं." The dialogue moves on, with the Pathan telling him, "It is not you, but the strength of the khaki uniform that you are wearing that makes you speak with such audacity." The scene shifts. You have a small outside area where the inspector now starts taking off his khaki uniform, his cap, his belt, and says, "I have no paraphernalia of power. Let's have a duel." Prakash Mehra, Amitabh Bachchan, Pran, Sanjeev. An iconic scene which shifts cinematic literature in this country. And we begin slowly but very, very steadily to celebrate abuse of power and celebrate violence as a format of state action. We need to understand that there is a very subtle but important difference between violence per se and state violence. They are not the same. For decades in this country, we have heard people say, merely because the citizen is unruly, it does not mean the state can go around using the lathi or using the bullet. That balance of power, one far more accountable to the system than the other, has been an inbuilt balance of power test in the country. We have moved and moved fast in the last 3 or 4 decades. And even as I am talking to you, today the Parliament is debating the possibility of a bill against lynching. Very interesting, Mr. Rathore, the minister in Parliament yesterday said, we must also include stone pelting because lynching and stone pelting both do the same thing. Two interesting side things to this. One, again go back to cinema because literature was the base on which I was supposed to be talking about the celebration of violence in our country today. Lata Mangeshkar in Madan Mohan's swan song to Indian cinema has that wonderful song, Koi Par Ghar Se Na Maro Mere Deewane. Husn Hazir Hai, Mohabbat Ki Saza. Very much. So look how we are shifting. We seem to generalize or even put as a pattern even individual acts of violence. And coterminous with this is the fact that ministers go to prisons where people have been arrested for lynching. Now these patterns are not contradictions as a Rand would believe and would require us to check premises. And if you read Rand's magnum opus, her Aklisha, you would realize that she looks at systemic violence as a huge format of violence in society. Dostoevsky has done it. Aklisha comes at the other end of the same school, but nonetheless more modern, more American, more laissez-faire. But the fact of the matter is, back home today, there is an alarmingly disturbing trend of how people believe that we can take law into our hands because we disagree with a stance, a format, a pattern. Today, a filmmaker says, I'm not comfortable making this kind of a film because I'm not sure it will go to the theatres. Today, however wrong he may be, when a man says, and on principle I disagree with him, when a man says that Sita would have been happier living with Ravana than with Rama, how does society protest against it? They say, we'll go and burn him up, we'll go and beat him up. Now I have a problem, let me just in passing before I create a wrong impression, I don't agree with Maheshwari. Because what he is doing is, he is not just saying Ravana versus Rama and Sita would be happier with Ravana. He is saying that the Stockholm syndrome is better than matrimonial happiness. Now this is a very dangerous social statement to make, even in the context of a liberal 21st century world. Unacceptable. Having said that, and to revert, today, understand that when we celebrate anarchy, we are steadily eating into human freedom. And I'm not blaming Modi. I'm not saying Manmohan Singh, P.V. Narasimha Rao, though people believe that the day urchins went and broke a masjid, that was the first signal of celebrating anarchy in this country. I think there have been too many incidents, small and big, thereafter or before, that shows yet another dangerous pattern in our society today, and that is, we have an answer as to how Dhoni must bat. We know exactly when Virat Kohli should get Dhoni into bat. We know what his field placements should be. We fault Shakespeare in English. We suspect Socrates' philosophy. We believe that this politician is corrupt, that politician is inefficient, this politician is both. We can't go to our office on time. We can't finish our work hours properly. We don't mind getting an extra sneaky advanced question paper to give it to our son or daughter to ensure they get good marks in the entrance examination. A corrupt society is not corrupt because of its leaders. A corrupt society's corrupt leaders are a reflection of its corrupt people. I remember very distinctly in the last parliamentarian election, somebody sent me a message. We'll deal with social media in a while from now, because that's another format of art and literature today. Somebody sent me a message of election time, so our politicians are going to go around buying their votes. Pause. If the politician is corrupt buying votes, who's selling them? And how is buying votes illegal but selling them legal? Have we asked ourselves as to how accountable we are as a people, how accountable we are as an individual? Understand also that 4 years of a we change regime in the center and in a distinct part of the country has not altered substantially or even marginally the life pattern of the country. And why? While it is at first blush very attractive to be dismissal of the Modi format of governance, which roughly is referred to as the Amit Shah governance. But more importantly, I think is because we all believed that our job is over the moment we threw one government out and gave it to the other. We will remain the same. For a 10 o'clock lecture, by choice taken, we will loiter in at 10:15. Without an apology, because in our country, time is of no relevance. Please understand, these little things sum up to make a huge aggregate. I'm not accountable, therefore I can walk in whenever I can. I'm not accountable because, I'm going to listen to this guy. Short little guy, he's got a nice voice. He's now going to put me to slumber over the next 45 minutes. That's what YS Universe has promised me. Therefore, I don't have to ask questions at the end of the session. I just have to listen, smile. He's looking at everybody while speaking, so whenever he looks at me, I just grin at him. My job is over. Now, there is an increasing and an alarmingly increasing sense of non-accountability. After every year of entrance examinations in our country, we have paper leak scandals. Who is the benefit? Under the Prevention of Corruption Act, for example, if somebody has a lot of money, what do you say? I'm going to catch the guy who is the beneficiary of this transaction, because otherwise the transaction would not have happened. That's the most convenient and probably the most logical format of social engineering. Why don't we do it at intermediate level with students and parents whose children get there? How are they immediate beneficiaries? It started with 10th class, now we have marks in the EM set, law set, etc. Now it's gone national. We have a national examination where papers are leaking at 10th class. Was it 10th or plus 2 level? CBS. So see where it starts. When we used to violence, we spoke of corruption when a professor did not give marks to his student at the PhD level for non-academic reasons. Or there was a great divergence within the marks awarded by the external examiner and the internal examiner. Today it's beginning at CBSE class 10. See how much we've risen. Now what are we doing? We are celebrating anarchy. In short, we are saying we are not answerable, somebody else is. And very interestingly, you will notice that in India today, unlike 20, 30 years ago, 30 years ago, if you ask me who were the writers in India in English language, I would probably say Naipaul, I would probably say Nayanthara Sehgal, R.K. Narayan. Today, you have as many authors in English from India as an adolescent would have pimples on his face. You have as many of them coming and going with a good cream used. Again, if you notice, what is this number game of people coming in to write literature, etc.? They deal substantially, again, mind you, with Indian backdrops. I was reading a book, The Small City or something, dealing with two families in Ravada, where our Prime Minister was just a few days ago. The emotive content of the book is the fulcrum of the book. If you look at Indian authors today, the fulcrum of all their books is action. Something has to happen every 4.5 pages or 3.2 pages to keep the reader glued to the book in its digital format. Where does all this begin? It begins in school. Or if you can now breathe in peace, it's not college. It begins in school. You all have gone past teaching schools. So you all are only teaching college students, so you don't have to bother about it. What's happening is, every parent believes that the child needs to learn math, physics, chemistry, and biology if the parent is a doctor. When the progress card comes home, the typical Indian parent, either the creator or the product of peer pressure, wants to know what marks the child got. Now this is month-end parenthood or month-beginning parenthood. We are hardly bothered how he's studying, what is he studying. Does he know how sine square theta plus cos square theta is 1? Does he know why brinjal belongs to Savannaceae? He's not concerned with all that. Or that he doesn't know why his son says in mid-air, forgetting that in and mid-air are both prepositions and you don't use two prepositions one after. His job is over. He sent his son to the best school, he's paid best fees, he has tuitions. And then he's in Narayana or Chaitanya. What are those concentration camps called nowadays? Narayana and Chaitanya. Those are the new Hitlerian concentration camps. Someday all those professors, I'm telling you historically, one day they'll all have to face a Nuremberg trial. The parent's job is over. He's put his money into the child. Now it's the child's problem. Please understand, a system that invests on money and not on time is celebrating anarchy. You can have the best traffic signal on the road, but if people are not going to respect it, you'll still be a traveler in Hyderabad. You can have the best buildings, the best roads, and the most efficient traffic lights, but hasn't made a difference to high tech. Why? Because we are not answerable people. Now what does this parent do? He is completely impressed upon his children that they don't need to read literature, they don't need to know history, they don't need to have a sense of geography. As a concomitant to which he knows how to do his math, he can identify a slide under the microscope, he can't understand human emotions. Another alarming and dangerous corollary to this would be that the so-called academically well-trained, well-invested are alienated completely from patterns that are intrinsic and necessary for social order. And when I say social order, I don't mean what Mrs. Indira Gandhi said in 1975. I'm talking about a social order which is full of flux, but at the same time respects space of the others. Look at the Renaissance Europe of the 19th century. You'll be ashamed to compare it with today's India. Will this country today permit a Vincent van Gogh? When a painter paints an Indian god in the nude, there are multiple responses that a society can have to it. It can say, I don't agree with this at all, therefore I shall ignore it. One, I shall see this as exclusively a piece of art and examine that only from the viewpoint of an artist. 2, 3. I would raise an issue with the artist in one manner or the other, all of them within parameters of acceptable debate, and tell him that all art must not only be art sensitive but must be societally sensitive. And artists have albeit a very minor, but nonetheless a certain degree of social responsibility, and therefore you need to be sensitive of the kind of painting you're doing. Are we that kind? We are not, because we don't mind Mahesh Babu beating up everybody in town. That violence we don't mind. We don't mind a girl being raped on the streets of a city. We say we don't care because she's not my daughter, my neighbor, my aunt, my wife. I'm going home, safe. But when Saraswati is placed on the nude, oh my God, there's a huge uproar in the country. This is not to again say that what he did was right. But I am telling you what we are doing as a collective is wrong. And unless we, the collective, alter ourselves, I'm afraid we have no moral ground to tell people that they are wrong. The Mahatma put it so beautifully. He said, be the change you want to see around you. We quote him once, yeah. Sometimes even on Jan 30th. Yeah, sometimes also on Jan 2nd, but on October 2nd we definitely quote him. If you look at today's cinema, I was asking my son to give me a few films where Anarchy is celebrated. He's given me some 40, 50 only from the reviews that I've done in the last 1.5 or 2 years. That's all. Not his His bibliography didn't go beyond that. Ab Tak Chappan, Gangajal, Force, Jalba, Bullet Raj, Bandalpur, Singham series, Holiday, Gulab Gang, Goonde, Baby, Highway, Kabil, Rais, Hate Story, Shivai, Tishum, Hasina Parkar, Bhumi, Mom, Bhagi, Pokri, Gharshana, Kala, Spider, Touch Chase Chudu, Raja the Great, Yuddham Sharanam, Vasuki, DJ, Patel, Black Money, Nagaram, Bangaviti, Officer, Siddhartha, Sardar Gabbar Singh, Career Boy Kalyan, Bruce Lee the Fight. What is the story in most of these movies? I'll tell you. There is a police officer. He is good. Then there is the bad guy. Now what we do with the bad guys, we put him in white dresses. There is a political color hidden or obvious in that. To the sensitive, to the discerning, please understand the grammar. I'm not going into it. But the fact of the matter remains is, you'll see many villains starched white clothing. And then after the Satyam Raju scandal happened, now we've moved to business houses. What happens, this khaki guy is supposed to be very honest, very good. And he's got to get the law back in place. And what does he do? He beats up everybody under the sky. He takes law into his hands. There is no accountability. There is nothing. He can just go into somebody's house, shoot somebody and say, this guy is a bad guy, I shoot him. And what is even more suffocating is when you're sitting in a theatre and you're watching this happen, there is large-scale approval of whistles from and claps from the public. So what are they saying? As long as you're on the right side of the law, you can break the law. Because you're on the right side, there is nothing wrong you can do. And who are we talking? And who are we? Half our ladies read Sundarakandam in the morning or Ramayana in the evening. And what is the most intellectually debatable part of the Ramayana is the conflict between Vali and Ramayana on warfare. What happens to us? Are we all schizophrenic? Are we a collectively, psychiatrically fractured society? How else would you believe that the same guy who ties Rakhi to his sister says Aigiri Nandini Nandita Medini to Mahishasura Mardini, who prays to Durga and all of them, stands at the street corner and ogles at girls, decides what they should wear, how much lipstick they should wear, what their neckline should be, what their hemline should be, and if any of them do not find their approval, they have a right to rape. Today people talk that India is moving from being the diabetic capital of the world to a rape capital of the world. And this is the same country, that talks about the greatness of Sita, Parvati, Lakshmi, Saraswati. They don't like a man who puts Saraswati in the nude. What happens on the street, I don't have to care. Where is this beginning, or is this real imitating real, or real expressing real? It's a moot question. I'm sure many of you are professors, you'll have more information on where you beat or where you cut through the cycle of real and real. But also understand, just as today's archaeologists decide the cultural, the economic standards from the ruins of Mohenjo-daro or Harappa or Egypt or anywhere. Our cultural credibility will be tested by what we leave behind in the historic archives, either in the ruins or in the reals. And today when you sit to watch it, what do you find? We sit down, pay, we used to pay 20 rupees to a theatre, now we pay 200 rupees to a theatre. We used to buy small samosa for 1 rupee or something. Today you have to get samosa for 50 rupees. And there's a big debate going on whether multiplex theatres can sell or not sell uncapped food items and charge whatever they want. First world problems. This is the cinema. This is the literature that we leave behind. How many of you can name one Hindi film, Ardha Satya notwithstanding, where the police officer is punished, though he is good, punished for taking the law into his own hands? Salman Khan. Is he punished?
No, he's let off in
the
there.
law, then later on he has to fight his own way.
Yeah,
That is there.
but he fights his way by breaking the law.
At the end.
Any other? Largest film production factory in the world. Telugu, Hindi, Tamil, whatever. Take them all together, can you name one? God. And see, interestingly, the 60s and the 70s, we had the Rajendra Kumars and the Rajesh Khannas. Rajendra Kumar, Shankar Jaikishan, Rajesh Khanna, R.D. Burman. They celebrated romance and society accepted that, and that is why their cinema was successful. Come Amitabh Bachchan, the angry young man. He did three things to our cinema. First, I'm a big fan of the actor, but that's another story. I'm dealing with the sociological aspect of Amitabh Bachchan. One very important aspect of our cinema was the heroine. He removed her. This is not important. He is the only hero who acted in a multi-starrer where his heroine was Helen. Iman Dharam, if you want it for logic. It's Shashi Kapoor with Parveen Babi, Shatrughan Sinha with Aparna Sen, Amitabh Bachchan and Helen. He did away with the importance of the heroine in the cinema. If you notice the pre-Amitabh Bachchan heroines, till maybe Sharmila Tagore, or even Hema Malini at some extent, they were every once in a way 1 or 2 films where the heroine was central to the story. Amitabh era, from when he started with Zanjeer till he came down to Ganga, Jamuna, Saraswati, the heroine had no place in the film. And incidentally, one of the best Indian actresses lived under his roof. Yeah. Oh, both of them. Okay. So, that was one. The second, R.D. Burman replaced by Bappi Lahiri. Shankar Jaikishan replaced by Bappi Lahiri and Anu Malik. What did they do? They had, the greatest challenge was not a good song in the film. The greatest challenge was to have enough noise behind when the hero is beating up the villain. Background score became more important. Music disappeared from our cinema till Ashiki came back once and Ashiki came back the second time. And if you look at Ashiki 1 and Ashiki 2, there is also a movement away from a society that loved love to a society that was hating the loser. And celebrating the victor at all costs. Look how our literature is moving. I'm not talking about books because I told Srinivas that I'll stick to cinematic literature because that's far more popular in our country. That's And I'm not looking down at cinema because I think it's more reachable, it has a greater audience, more people take to it. I'm sure if Shakespeare was at the time that cinema was being made, he wouldn't have sat and written his copious plays, he would have made them into films and plays. He wouldn't have written his novellas. I'm sure Charles Dickens would have looked at it all very differently, but that's hypothesis. So we'll go back to what I was talking about, namely, in our pulp literature, namely cinema, the shift is discerningly clear. When Rajesh Khanna and Rajendra Kumar sang songs in the gardens, we said, how stupid here. I was in love, but I didn't sing songs. But we don't turn around and say, how stupid. I was angry, but I didn't beat up somebody. Mahesh Babu can do that. Ravi Teja can do that. What Balakrishna can do is altogether a different matter. And what all he can get away with is even more dangerous. How many of us would be willing to sit in the theatre today and watch a Guru Dutt film? Yawn is what it is. I saw a film, Kalki Gulecha's movie. Do you remember what I saw it in Bangalore? Lipstick something or
Under my burqa. Lipstick under my burqa.
That had enough for people to watch. Another film starring Kalki Gulecha. I and a friend of mine were the only two people sitting and watching this movie in the theatre dealing with the trauma of rape. And no, even within rape, today we have celebration of rape in Kamil. You raise it to a level where it becomes almost awesome. Not that it happened in Kamil, I think it happened way before in the B.R. Chopra's in South Kataras. So it's not necessarily contemporary, but it is a whole design, a whole pattern by which we seem to believe that if I sit in the theatre and permit a voyeurist extension of good in any manner beating bad, I've done my psychological duty to Bharat, Mera Mahanam. I did my job. I've approved of the police officer catching that guy hook or crook. Pause. I think the time has come. The time has come because the day you permitted the celebration of the police officer beating up the citizen, right, wrong will come to later. You also permitted the citizen to decide, I don't agree with this guy, therefore I'll beat him up. Valentine's Day is not my culture. But beating up two people is my culture, is what happens February 14 after February 14 in this country. There is this huge double speak on which I'm going to give you two instances. One, I believe there was this father who was taking his son on a wonderful trip abroad. He had all the money, he's been visiting countries many times, and this time he was taking his young adolescent son on a holiday for the first time. He told his son, you can buy what you want, you can go where you want, you can have all your fun, but don't go to these nightclubs, they are a very bad place. The young adolescent boy, being what he was, got off the airport, made friends with somebody abroad, and the first question he said is, what's wrong with these nightclubs? I want to go and see it. So the guy said, you're welcome, you don't have to tell that, we can go to the night itself. So the first night he was there, he went to a night. His spent a few hours there. They both came out, and the foreign friend of his asked him, "Did you find anything that you should not have seen at the nightclub?" The Indian said, "Yes." But this guy was surprised. He said, "I've been coming to this nightclub every time. I haven't seen anything that I ought not to be seen. What is it you saw?" He said, "I saw my father there." Now this huge double speak, I have one set of morals for myself, a wholly different set for everybody else. They reached a high stage that my girlfriend must look very attractive and beautiful, my wife must look very simple and nice. My wife must wear her saris, my girlfriend can wear her shorts. The next. We talk about political lack of commitment, this man's lack of commitment, that man's lack of commitment, how committed are we to our words. I tell you a very interesting story that comes out of the Mahabharata. And then the Kurukshetra war was supposed to begin. And Duryodhana had to fix a good muhurat for the war. The expert on fixing an accurate muhurat was Sahadeva, who was in the opposite camp, the Pandavas. What do? Duryodhana said, "I'm going to go now, Sahadeva." His uncle, the main villain of the piece, said, "Are you mad? He is obviously going to give you a wrong time, as a consequence of which astrologically you are going to lose the war even before physically you lose the war." Duryodhana says, "Sorry, I don't agree with you at all." His commitment to his profession is so high that he will rather lose the war than give up his professional integrity. He goes to Sahadeva and fixes the time. Krishna tries to stop Sahadeva and says, "Please don't fix the right time. Because if you fix the wrong time, Duryodhana will blindly follow you. It is all over, done, finished. My job is easier, I can go home earlier." Sahadeva says, "I rather have my brothers and me killed or sent to yet another Vanavasam, but I will not give up my professional integrity." How many of us are willing to be a Sahadeva, who is the least important of the 5 brothers of the Mahabharatas, whose Krishna we pray every day? Or does our commitment to the Mahabharata end with reciting what Bhishma did on his deathbed, the Vishnu Sahasranama? Interestingly, one of you could be asking me, then how was it that the Kauravas lost the war after all this accuracy? So, you were wanting to ask. I'll keep it for the answer session. Ask me then. I'll hold back your curiosity. Now, the artist has a license which most other professionals don't have. But is this an unconditional license? Society has different opinions on that. And different times in society, different people have also evolved their answer to this question. But societally, one thing common is that the people of the society can't go around policing others. Today I police the erring artist. Tomorrow I begin to police the artist who I think is erring. Thereafter I go around policing because that's become my habit. And each of these steps where you permit somebody to take the law into their hands is that much of freedom, that much of rule of law that the collective is giving up as its inherent right. Benjamin Franklin said, "A people who give up a bit of their liberty for a bit of security deserve neither." And that is exactly the crisis that we have in our society today. We have stopped carrying our backbones when we go on the roads of the city. I'll give you a small example. My wife, my man Friday at home, are strong critics of the fact that I do my evening walks on the roads. Their theory is that some bus, some car, some guy is waiting to kill me, and at any moment he is just going to carry out his plan. The other evening, I was walking back. I found three boys, 17, 18, juveniles. They are on a scooter. They turn on the wrong side, almost injure a 50-year-old man. Boo at him, and I'm booing that. I stop them. I pick up a quarter with him. One of them says, he'll hit me. I says, go ahead and do that. But be sure that that's not going to be the end of the battle. How many of us? I'm a very puny guy. I have not learned karate. I don't know how to fight. It was my stupidity more than anything else that gave me my courage. I'm sure some of you who know in literature are going to go back to the bar and say, yeah, we know fools rush where agents fear to tread. But having said all that, I'd like to stand up and be counted. How many of us are willing to do that? We have given up our task as a citizen. On the other hand, we back the wrong wagon of citizenry in our country. We support people who say that the cow needs protection and therefore lynching will continue in this country as long as there are beef eaters in this country. How are we different from those in Dubai, where if somebody is caught eating pork, you'd love to beat him up? How are we different? Today people say these are the kind of guys who need to be put in the market and killed. And I thought 5-10 years ago when I was a tad younger, we would scorn at the Middle East law where whipping was permitted. I thought Scarlet Letter was as old as Nathaniel Hamilton. Where are we heading? Where, how, and for whose sake did we make this societal V-turn? Sharp, the turn has been very, very sharp. Can you believe these two dangerous incidents? Men in power are today saying, lynching, please accept it as a way of life. It's the only solution for beef eating. In Telangana, we have a new problem. Up north it is cow. Here, people have been lynched on the ground that they thought that somebody was kidnapping somebody. Very strangely, in a country that celebrates democracy, in a country that celebrates women empowerment, oh, we have a woman prime minister, we've had a woman president, we've had a woman speaker. What more do we want? We've given them all their quota. We'll beat them up, we'll raise them outside. In that country, after 60 years, we have a law that provides for a central agency to monitor trafficking in women. And you know one very interesting thing about trafficking in this country? We've had all those virgin prostitutes in our Hindi cinema, minus Masoom. Sharmila Tagore was the only prostitute who enjoyed her job, and Chandini Bar maybe later. Otherwise, they were all virgin prostitutes. Now, don't ask me how that can happen, but it happens in Hindi cinema, Telugu cinema. The only person in a sex scandal of a prostitution who cannot be punished is the man. He has no punishment under the Immoral Trafficking Act. The lady is seen as a victim. The accused are the guy who gets them together, called the pimp or whatever,
Or sold them.
or sold them. And the home, the house, the rental landlord, all of them can be punished, but not the guy who had sex.
But isn't that been altered now? The recent.
Under the new enactment, I have yet to see a copy. I don't think it has been. If it has, there I durust.
Sir, when we watch in the Sony channel,
We can't. Therefore, anarchy is possible historically because we've had leaders who are not accountable. Today, anarchy is possible because A, the system says we want anarchy. We permit anarchy. We allow people to break the law, to do whatever they want because they believe that this is just. Just is not what is law any longer. We see a cleavage between what is just and what is law, and the man with a little, who's done a little more Hanuman Vyayamshala in the mornings, can decide what is good for the country. Time to sign. ये लुटे हुए कारवां जिंदगी के कहाँ हैं मुहाफिज खुदे की जिन्हें नाज है हिंद पर कहाँ हैं ये पुरपेच गलियां ये बदनाम बाजार ये गुमनाम राहें ये सिक्कों की झनकार ये इस्मत के सौदे ये सांसों की तकरार जिन्हें नाज है हिंद पर वो कहाँ है ये मसली हुई अंध की सर्द गलियां ये बिकती हुई खो की रंग रलियां जिन्हें नाज है हिंद पर वो कहाँ है. I'll sign off with these haunting words of Sahib. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now your questions.
sir, why did the Kauravas laugh?
Why? You know what happened? Krishna decided that he's not going to help the Pandavas because nobody is listening. Bhima says something, Dharmaraja says righteousness. He's packing. And Draupadi goes back and again starts crying and saying, no, you are the only savior, etc. etc. Then Krishna plans. The Mahurat that Sahadeva gives Duryodhana is the morning of the Amavasya day. Krishna, one day before, starts doing the Amavasya Tarpana, the puja, the Amavasya puja. The sun god and the moon god go and ask Krishna, what are you doing? How are you doing Amavasya Tarpana today? He said, when do you do? When is Amavasya? When the moon and the sun are facing each other, you are both facing me, therefore I do it. Then what happened? Because Lord Vishnu was doing Tarpana that day, everybody in the city, the Brahmins, the others who do the puja, started doing the puja that day. So Duryodhana also said, so this is how it should be. He does it one day before the actual day and uses them. The god misled him. See, but understand, even in Krishna avatar, Krishna, while he would believe that means justify the end, he still was a supporter of righteous causes. And as the Lord, he had the right to do that. Nobody else in the Mahabharata decides righteousness except Krishna. And today, everybody is Lord Krishna. So I decide what is right, morally or otherwise. That is the difference. Yes.
Sir, talking
Something told me I'll get a question from you. Go ahead.
Okay. Sir, talking about anarchy, as usual, we have the judiciary and legislature now. We know that since last few months, media is talking about anarchy in judiciary. That has reached the Supreme Court. The Chief Justice of India is under the scanner. They're in trial. So, what is your take on that?
Yes. Firstly, I believe that judges, lawyers, professionals come from the same mud. So it's a myth or an extensive illusion of ours that men in high offices are very different from men not so high. 2, I believe as long as the system under which we have judges made for this country, they are all scanned by a political convenience scanner, and therefore you will get these kind of people. What happened with Justice Sharabeshwar et al. Was not new, except that the format was. Simmering differences, political intrigue, palace intrigue is not new to our judiciary. It's now out in the open. Thank you for making it open, but no sorry for the way in which it was done. That the Chief Justice is under a scanner is good news. The myth, as somebody said, the Emperor is wearing no clothes. Good. I think it's a very good, I think we are going in the right direction.
So that way, is the judiciary now that is somewhat emancipated, 21st century liberated, can we say?
Far from that, far from that. There's too much of cleansing to happen here. I don't know if we today start cleansing the Ganga and the Indian judiciary, which will be done faster. See, I told you I won't get questions. Everybody's job is over listening.
Just to add to the celebration of violence, remember this film Anarchy and Hindustani?
Correct, Kamala Hassan.
Corruption. I remember it was in Tayagrama. And when people used to buy tickets in black to watch the movie against corruption. But how do you understand the human psychology that they appreciate somebody fighting corruption, but in their own lives they take recourse to corruption?
I'll tell you why.
To add on to this, for example, when we had demonetization announcement by Narendra Modi in 2016, a lot of people supported demonetization, thinking that it's going to hit somebody bigger. And therefore they were willing to take on the little kind of pain that they had for the initial 3 months or 4 months people still have. Because they had this psychological kind of a hunch that somebody being, who is very big is being hit. How do you relate this to?
Yeah, I'll answer. Now in the first example and in the second, I told you there is a sociological voyeurist in us. Something that I cannot do. If somebody else is doing, I enjoy it. So it cools my adrenaline that somebody else is doing it. That's why I'm very happy about it. One. More so when the guy who's doing it is my favorite. Amitabh Bachchan, Kamala Hassan, Mahesh Babu. They're all my, they're my new gods. Right? They can't do wrong, so they're doing the right thing. The Indian audience does not analyze cinema from the stance of right and wrong. They only see it from acha hai, acha nahi, bagunda leda. Take a film where Mahesh Babu is a very simple guy, gets beaten up by the police, the film won't run for a week. How many of you know that Amitabh Bachchan's greatest success was his voice? He played a dumb guy in a film. Anybody knows?
Is that a film with Google?
Sorry? No. In that he has a voice. He's dumb and a scared guy. The film is Reshma or Sarah, starring Sunil Das, Wahida Rahman, where he and Rakhi play the opposite character. He's mute and dumb. So, today if I make a film with Amitabh Bachchan minus his voice, it's a no-no. Vijay Path for the first 1 week did not run at the box office because he changed his voice. So we are all caught up with this image thing, and the bad politician needs to be punished summarily is our theory. Needs to be punished is a logical argument. Needs to be punished summarily is a voyeurist's delight. And that is why these kind of films succeed. 1. 2. Now, how do we explain the sociological behavior at demonetization? Obviously, one part of the whole drama was the perfect marketing of the whole idea. We had this WhatsApp, we had this. I know people who sent me a WhatsApp, what's all this noise? I went to the bank today and got money in 15 minutes. I said, yeah, all the other guys have no job, that's why they're standing on the roads. So this mass hysteria, well, historically we had a country that thought Hitler was a great leader. Now this has nothing to do with demonetization. And please don't understand the comment as one either on the economics or the politics or both of demonetization. I'm not going there now. All that I'm saying is, how did the common man behave in this concept? He believed that his God can do no wrong. He believed that an extra punch by his God is acceptable. He was hoping for a lovely climax where the villain will fall apart. That was the only scene missing between the cinema and the street of demonetization.
See, all the academicians and the critics, always they try to explain the status and say that this is a disaster.
What was a disaster?
Everything. Whatever they
Prophets of doom. Prophets of doom. Yeah.
but they never tries to see a way how to go ahead.
Why should they? That's not their job. This is exactly what I'm saying. Why should society play policeman's role? Why do you play policeman? There's somebody else to do that job, no?
Somebody else do that.
Kukka pani, kukka cheyali, garat pani, garje.
No. It is a responsibility of the every citizen in the society to act. If you are feeling so, it is bad. If it is not doing so, it is the fault of the social institutions making them.
What do you teach? What do you teach?
I am a teacher educator.
No, what do you teach? What subject? Education department. Have you taught your teachers or have you sensitized your teachers that there is no chapter in education that does not have a social value connected to it? And if you haven't, I think your question is hyperbole.
Every curriculum, every concept is connected with the social value. But how it is nurtured?
In a paper that you have set up, how often have you searched for an answer on that from your student?
Now my questions are not the single answer questions. Now that they
Oh, my MCQs.
not MCQ.
Ah.
Even in the CBSE or the state board, it is a multiple answer. We don't have the key. The teacher has to go through the question paper and it is not the standard key of which you can just give the marks for that. But it is a multiple answers now.
Okay, what is it that you want now? You're asking
Now
me.
the-
Your question appears to be, intellectuals are only diagnosing. They are not finding solutions, correct? Would
Not
you?
intellectual.
Okay, let me answer.
I don't call them as intellectual.
Okay, fine. Call them whatever. Academicians. What do you call them?
Not the true academicians.
Armchair academician. Correct?
Academicians is the name of celebrities.
Okay. Now can I answer your question? Would you like a surgeon to do an operation on you or the physician to do the operation? Both of them have studied MBBS. Surgeon.
Even RFP will do in this country.
Would you go to? Would you
Many
go?
of them are going.
Huh? You
Many of
don't.
my
That's
countrymen
it.
are going.
Social safety is based on defined roles. Society pigeonholes people to do specified roles for them. An enthusiast pigeon that occupies more than one pigeonhole does not have Marx's approval, is eating into the space of another, and thirdly would end up creating what we all call anarchy. And that is why the celebrity or the artist or the writer or the speaker is best left to do the job of the physician. He diagnoses and leaves it to the social surgeons of it.
One more question.
Sure.
Yesterday I was watching the movie Buddha in Traffic Jam.
Sorry?
Buddha in Traffic Jam.
Buddha and traffic jam.
See, they were saying that like, it is not the job of the intellectual, but the intellectual provokes the youth to indulge in certain ideological wars. Simply in the classrooms it takes place. Many of the movements built up in this nation or in this part of our state, it is majorly the teachers behind all these constructive or destructive pro-state or against state are led by the teachers.
Led by who?
Led by the teachers.
Teachers.
Majorly.
Well, I can give you one mass movement that happened in this part of the country 4 years ago, where a man who was not very literate, who was not intellectual, he brought Telangana for us. What better example do you
No problem,
want?
that's great. But I am saying that the intellectuals who are provoking them,
ఇంటలెక్చువల్ మాట్లాడితే 40 మంది కంటే ఎక్కువ రారండి. దాంట్లో 10 లేట్ వస్తారు, 4 నిద్రపోతారు.
if you take the list of the movements led by in this country, in every movement there is a teacher. Yes, I am also a teacher. But the teachers will provoke and sit in their drawing rooms happily, and the students who
What
are
do you want the teacher to do? You want him also to paint stones?
not pending the stones.
What do you want him to do?
The right way you have to show the.
How? Give me an example. No, for lynching is going on. What should the teacher do?
Who is lynching now?
Everyone. You haven't heard of incidents of lynching? Cow, beef. The kidnap case in Telangana the other day. Bidar. No, it was a Telangana man in Bidar. Yeah. What do we do?
There is a law to protect. There is a law.
That's what even I'm saying.
There is a law. They should go there.
That is what even I said. That is how I shouldered arms and let the ball go through the wicket-keeper.
My argument is,
Huh.
if the anarchy is there, some way we have to put the stop to this anarchy. We have to think of that, not just saying that
Where we
anarchy
need
is
to-
there.
correct.
Anarchy is already existed in the entire civilization, and it is taking different forms.
True. If you are suggesting that this anarchy is the midwife of a society pregnant with a new world order, so be it. Yes. Yes.
Sir, as we were discussing about trafficking and pimps, my question is that should we legalize prostitution?
Very difficult question to answer. In isolation, yes. But given the social dynamics of India today, no. Because when I say yes, the reason why I say yes is because the right to choose a profession, albeit within the parameters of what you are capable of performing in a profession, is a personal choice. But when I say no because the evils of a contemporary Indian social order are so strong that it would force people into the profession not because they want the profession, but because somebody else decides that this is the profession from which they can make the money. That is why no. I'll go to this question and come back if you have a supplementary. Yes.
Sir, law is biased when it comes to the women and Dalits and weaker sections of the society. Constitution is not biased. The lawmakers and the judiciary is partial towards these weaker sections and Dalits. So I will tell you two things that happened in this nation. Bihar, that is Ranabir Sena. Ranabir Sena created massacres so many places in Bihar. But the judgment was in favor of the Ranabir Sena activists. And also in Chundur incident, the judge was biased. He is not up to the punishment what is intended. And also in parallel the incident.
Which one?
Parallel the incident in Maharashtra. A woman and her daughter and her 2 sons were brutally murdered, and they are thrown in the canal.
Yeah.
But the Nagpur Sessions Court finally convicted only few people out of 11 or 17. I don't know the exact number, but most of them were released without any punishment. And court has not taken it as the rarest of the rare incident. In spite of the brutal thing happened, it was not taken.
Okay, I'll answer all your questions. Law may be in favor of the weaker section because it's a weapon to create or to convert Article 14 into a reality. That's the basis. Today, if the Chaiwala's son and my son go and write an English examination, it's not equality, it's a mockery of equality. There must be some instrument that steps in to give up, to put the disadvantaged in a ventilator. That's what the law is doing. While the law does it, and you may not be right in saying that the Constitution doesn't, only the law does it. Because the law does something which is not accepted by the Constitution, it will go. Having said that, laws are often made after an understanding that this is what is good for the collective. Why did an anti-dowry law come into the country? Because they found an increasing incidence of women dying as products or as victims of dowry. Now what happened to that law? It started getting abused. Who abused it? You and I. You seem to believe that every acquittal in a court is because the judge acquitted him. No. Acquittals and convictions are not based on the judge's views. They are based on the evidence that is placed before the judge. If the evidence is weak, the judge has no way but to acquit him. Except if you are the Karnataka High Court judge who doesn't know 4 plus 4 is 8. Yes.
So if the case is weak, then who has to take the responsibility for that?
The state and the prosecution.
If the case is weak, then police has to
Correct.
take that initiation.
Correct.
Put the case in a strong way.
Correct. They are not doing it. The police are not doing it.
It is an intentional way of doing.
Sometimes may be intentional, many times may be intentional, but you don't blame the judiciary. And that the law relating to women or the law relating to Dalit is exploited in this country, I agree with you. Yes.
So far we have discussed one side of the story of the citizens who are part of this violence and all. That's exactly happening outside and in the country. I agree with you. But we haven't touched how the state violates. That's what actually is lacking in the law. And the examples are like people coming from the court, bringing them to appear before the court from the jail. Minority.
Absolutely unacceptable.
Yeah.
It is crass. I think state excess has become something about which we have become such hardcore, we've been inoculated against it. We've been inoculated. We today assume state has the power to be anarchical and break the law.
So in that case, what I'm trying to say is, it's not simply blaming the civil society. At the same time, you should also think of the state, how it operates.
Let me get the perspective right. What I was saying throughout was, the dog that is supposed to bark has begun to bite. That's dangerous. And there is an increasing incidence of rabies in these biting dogs. That the thief comes in. I told you the whole problem with Zanjeer and thereafter was not the conflict between good and evil. The conflict is between evil and the good guy who does evil. Every lawmaker becomes successful because he breaks the law. The message is clear: if you want to succeed, you will have to break the law. The best example of this is a film called A Wednesday. How do you approve of it? I don't. The citizen says, I will teach the common man a lesson. Sorry, that's not your job. That is how I was answering somebody else's question. State anarchy? Yes. It has a false garment worn on it of authority and power. I told you in the very beginning, the state and the citizen can do wrong. Citizen can do a little more wrong, the state cannot. They are not equals. The state is bound to account for its actions. Unfortunately, whenever this action comes up for judicial scrutiny in this country, we show a marked tendency to err in favor of the state instead of erring in the favor of the citizen. That's a tragedy. We live with it. Yes.
Sir, my last question. Isn't this atrocities case, the division bench has given a judgment on that. So when the atrocities case was very strong, the clauses which are included in the case act was very strong. There also incidents took place in legislation. And what do you say that now they have liberalized the law? The person should not be arrested immediately. So how do you act in this?
See, what happened was, if you know the Dalit Act, it provided for no anticipatory bail. So what do I do if I want somebody arrested? I write that he called me, he abused me in caste name. Immediately you will get arrested. We are all arrest-hungry people. In us, maybe one of the rare jurisprudence where the pre-trial detention is much more than the post-conviction detention. It's a shocking figure that stares at us. Therefore, in a matter, and this is only extending a theory which is well established in law, namely, does a magistrate perform the role of a clerk or a judge when he refers a police complaint for investigation? Should he see from that complaint before him, section 200 of the CRPC, whether a prima facie offence is made or not? That is what the Supreme Court also now said. They didn't say don't arrest a man who's accused of an offence under the Prevention of Atrocities Act. All that they said was, do not make it a process of automation. Read, apply your mind, and then do it. That's what they said.
Yes, sir. Since the entire talk had been on cinema and then celebration of violence, in India we have the aesthetic theory where we believe that the Indian institution is that we watch a movie or we read a novel or read a poem or read any artistic reports. Neither we believe nor disbelieve. It only entertains.
No, on the other hand, most of our literature, most of our folklore is based on mythology. And most people would like to believe that mythology is true. I'm not going into the fact whether Ramakrishna lived or not. But there's very little art, performing arts also. No, take Tyagaraja, take Muthuswami Dikshite, take Subramanya Sir, take Bharatiya, take Annamacharya. What are they singing? Even when, without a reference to the god, Annamacharya says, Nanadi Prataku Natakamu, what is he saying? He's talking about God. So, the horse god, there is very little art. Today, if you look at classical music, most most of their Carnatic musicians are by person devotional because they celebrate Rama. North Indian musicians are a little more leveraged on a more liberal stance because they celebrate Krishna. So the premise that we only watch but we don't believe is not correct.
No, I did not say we don't believe. We neither believe nor disbelieve.
No, we believe. We very strongly believe.
That's the theory in Indian Islam.
I would believe that we strongly believe. Yeah, I think we're touching that. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
All real stories, have been taken up. Because they are just punishing the rapist as you said, they are not getting up.
Yeah.
Only the middleman is getting up. So, that particular in the channel.
The fact that it's a 1 hour serial in 24 and it can show you only 52 real incidents in a year shows.
Maybe they are at least trying to focus on the other side of the society. That is what.
Yeah.
See,
The back will always be a big story.
they are all real based stories. Southern India and Ireland.
Dear friends, I would like to sincerely thank Advocate L. Ravichander for his wonderful presentation. In fact, he dealt with the celebration of anarchy in cinema and how, say, for example, violence and other negative aspects like trafficking, lynching are celebrated in cinema. In fact, in this context, he drew attention to the need for social responsibility, in fact. So that is the main content of this. In fact, the media, not only media, even cinema, cinema lacks social responsibility. And similarly, he also insisted that even people lack this social responsibility because, he illustrated this point with the saying that corrupt society is a reflection of corrupt people, right? In fact, so it was a wonderful point, right? Similarly, say for example, Emerson in his self-reliance would say, freedom implies responsibility. So insofar as our freedom doesn't hint at others, then it is okay. The moment it disturbs others, there is something wrong. Therefore, not only the cinema, even each individual needs to have that social responsibility. That's what he dealt with. It was a wonderful presentation, sir. Again, you exhibited your scholarship, and again, not only that, you have that social responsibility. That's what I can believe from your speech. Not only that, all the words were very clear. There was clarity in your presentation, and your gestures were appropriate to your presentation. And you had proper eye contact. On the whole, the presentation was excellent.